Okay, well, welcome back. I am going to share with you a preview of what we've already done in the past videos. And then from these components, we are going to explore and create a collar. And I'm going to show you how to take all these components and make an actual beaded collar. Okay, so first of all, we started with the bead embroidery. And this is your couching style. And then we went to a peyote to bezel it in. And then we went a little bit farther, adding a couple more rows of peyote along with a size 15 to tighten it up. Then we went into doing your cabochon, your little disc here, seed beads, cup chain, and another row of size 11s. Here we did the tilas around this right here, this part of it, and just added extra tilas. And this is called the pinwheel. And then this one is called the caterpillar, where we added the larger cup chain, the 4mm crystal pearls, and then the little caterpillars that go over the top, encasing that. From all these stitches that you have learned in the previous video, now we have taken it a little bit farther, done it on a larger piece of stiff stuff that was probably about this big here. And I beaded all the different stitches in here, and it was kind of a free form. So I did just maybe half of a circle here of the particular caterpillar, and a full circle here of the this right here, and then for half of the tilas. On top of that, I went in and I showed you how to do adding the embellishing flowers, just adding the texture, and the little spiny urchins coming out here. So what I want to share with you now is I want to take a larger piece of stiff stuff and show you how I cut it out and how I proceed past that. So what I've done here, this is a large piece of stiff stuff, and this is a template that I got out of Sherry Serafini's book. And I have her permission, and I want to honor her. She has mastered this template, and there's no sense in reinventing it. She's invented the best one that I have ever used. So what I've done is I've taken and I've, out of the book, I put it onto a plastic like this and cut out my form of the template. Then I laid it onto a piece of large stiff stuff, and then I traced it. And now I have the full template on here. The first thing you need to do when we start our collar is remember how in the past videos that we cut off the corners. And this keeps from your thread getting caught on those corners constantly, and it's a very helpful thing to do. So just cut off the corners here. And another thing I don't do, I don't cut out the center. And the reason I don't, once you cut out the center, your thread's going to get caught under these edges constantly. And it can be really frustrating for me anyways, but it's a great thing not to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a little bit of this down here because I don't need it quite as big. And also it rounds it off. And save these little pieces of your stiff stuff because these work great for doing smaller projects. So you don't want to throw these away. Okay, so you can see I cut off the corners and the bottom part of it. Now I have all these components, and this is kind of like putting together a puzzle. So I'm going to lay this down here, and I'm just going to kind of play a little bit. Let me get my components a little closer to me to see what I actually have. Okay, so now I have to decide whether I want it to go sideways like this or up and down like this. And putting it up and down like this, I think I really like it this way. So then I'm going to put a couple bigger ones in here. And I don't really do a whole lot of things that are matchy-matchy. You can. I try not to. Some, like this piece is pretty matchy-matchy. See if I have enough beaded components here. So I'm just going to kind of play with the design a little bit and see how I want to do this. I think I'm going to have to make one more of these that actually match a little bit better. So to get started, I'll show you how to stitch this down, and then I'll decide what I want to do. So I'm going to have this be my line up here as far as up as I'm going to go. So I've knotted another thread here. And one other little tip. If you take your your stiff stuff, and just fold it in half, and that'll give you, line up the two sides here and fold it in half, and that'll give you a really good center. I'm not one for drawing a bunch of lines, but I just like to have a center to work off of, and just that line right there helps me. I pretty much eyeball everything that I do, and I like it right there. So with the Stiff Stuff foundation, it'll soften up as you work with it too. Move this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up, and then I'm going to go over the top. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around this thing and stitch this whole thing down. Okay, so welcome back. Where we left off is we sewed down our larger component piece. Remember how we just did the little whip stitches here, the in and outs, and got it nice secure. There's no glue necessary. You can glue, but I recommend that you don't, for the fact that you might want to come back up here and add other flowers and other texture on the top. And sewing through glue isn't the easiest. So we're just going to kind of design and kind of play here a little bit with all the little different components that we've made throughout the series of the video. So we have our centerpiece. Remember, we folded it in half, found the center, and just kind of eyeballed it. And now I'm just going to kind of play, kind of put components here and there to kind of see how I want to design this. There is really no rules to this. This is completely free form. So don't be afraid just to kind of play. So what the goal is here, kind of liking the looks of this right here. So what I would do is I would come in and I would probably stitch down this one here first, and maybe this one over here. Now you can also, once they're stitched down, you can come in and you can also add some more cup chain around things. And this is a great way to use up some of the little scraps that you may have that you cut off. See, that's kind of pretty. Let's come over here and put a little cup chain around this one too. And remember to use the inside of your template as line here as far as you go in, because it lays so beautifully. Like I say, Sherry Serafini has got this mastered, and there's no sense in redoing it. And then down here on the outside of your template, you can drop down. That's how this one was made. I just dropped down doing it. So then you would come in, once you get them kind of laid out and stitched down how you kind of like the design, you would come in and you would do more of your bead embroidery, add more cup chain. You could add some more tilas or tilas. And then you would do more of your bead couching with your size 11s. You can also add more of your crystal pearls. Do another row or two of those. Whoops. And then once you get this all filled in how you like it, with the different colors, the different cup chains, then you can come in and start adding your flowers. And a lot of times we kind of cover up some of our bead work that we've already done, but that just gives you more texture. And then we have smaller sizes of the little disc here. You can line them all up. You can make them kind of go sideways. You've got your little itty bitty ones. So the main thing is don't be afraid of it. Just start playing. It doesn't have to match on both sides. I prefer that myself. It makes it easier, and you don't have to wonder, am I straight or is this working? It's easier for me to create and design that way, so it doesn't all match. So just continue beading all the way around. The more discs, the more pieces you put in here, the less bead embroidery you're going to have to do in your design. And then once this is all completed, up to this point up here, you will add on, I'm going to take my necklace off just so you guys can see. So here is the necklace that I just took off. And as you can see, this is the part up here. I stopped beading, and then remember how we did this whip stitching of the wire down inside on the other pendant like this one here? That's exactly what you're going to do here. You're going to double it over because this is a 2-strand clasp. You string on your beads, do your guards, your crimps, your jump rings, and your clasp. And this just lays beautifully. It's really comfortable to wear. And then you can go ahead and you can start adding your fringe. Now fringe is a thing, you know, that everybody has kind of their own way to do it. Fringe can be very easy. When I do my fringe, I start in the center. So I kind of figure out where my center is. So this would be the center here. So remember in the past video, we did the little fringe that came out. We came out of just our edge bead, not our picot bead, and string on your likings of your design. Come all the way down. And these are little dagger beads. They make a really great little bottom fringe. I like them a lot. So as you're coming down, you're adding your seed beads, your crystals, your different beads, and then you're going to add 3 seed beads, a dagger, 3 seed beads. This encases your little dagger bead here, and then from there you're going to go through all of these beads back up. Then you're going to move over and do the next fringe. And see how it's just a little bit shorter? I probably took 1 or 2 seed beads out of here just to make it just a little bit shorter. Then again, your 3, dagger 3, turn around and go back up. And you just follow that whole process all the way across. I do one side of my fringe and get the lengths that I want, the design I want. And then I usually have to tie off. Remember how we tied off as far as going inside your beadwork here, and we grab some stiff stuff. The foundation did that little knot, the surgeon's knot, and then tie back on. So once you get this side done, this is how I do it. Okay, I've got my center, I've got this one. So this is the one I'm going to do now. So I move this one over here that I'm going to do now. I string it, come back up. That one's done. So I move the next one over. Then I start this process of adding the beads to match this one. Go back up. So I just work myself around, one side to the other, one side to the other, so I can get them to match perfectly. So it's very fun, you guys. I look forward. I'd love to see what you make with this. I really like this big starfish in here too. I'm going to find a place for this. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. Happy beading.